chosen ones. There's someone in your orbit who has perfected the art of pursuing people they know they can eventually reject, building their entire identity around being the one who cares less, the one who walks away first, the one who never gets hurt. But something catastrophic happened to their perfectly controlled world when they encountered you. Your detachment shattered their entire game, because for the first time in their life, they're the one harboring secret feelings, they're the one watching from shadows, they're the one crying behind mirrors because they can't figure out how to make you need them the way everyone else always has. The cosmic joke is that they approached you first, thinking you'd be another easy conquest, another soul they could hook and release, but your energy operated on a frequency they'd never encountered before. And now they're trapped in feelings so intense, they're literally reorganizing their entire life around the possibility of just one authentic moment with you. What they don't realize yet is that your detachment isn't something you're doing to them. It's not a game, not a strategy, not even conscious. When you awakened, really awakened, not just spiritually opened, but fully activated in your divine blueprint, something fundamental shifted in how you exist in relationships. You started offering love without hooks, connection without cords, presence without possession, and this pure frequency of unconditional divine love became like kryptonite to anyone operating from manipulation, control, or emotional games. Right now, at this very moment, this person is probably in their 6th hour of reconstructing every interaction they've had with you, trying to find the moment where they lost control of the narrative. They keep replaying that first approach, that calculated move where they expected you to lean in, to show interest, to display some vulnerability they could exploit. Instead, you responded with something they'd never encountered before: genuine warmth without attachment, openness without desperation, love without need. It broke their entire operating system because their whole reality was built on the assumption that everyone needs something from someone, that all connections are transactions, that love is just a sophisticated form of mutual manipulation. But there's another layer to this story that's about to explode into your awareness, something that's been happening in the shadows while this person was wrestling with their feelings. Someone else, a different energy entirely, saw your light and completely miscalculated what it meant. This scavenger spirit, operating through someone who might have presented themselves as a friend, a business partner, or even a potential romantic interest, thought they'd identified an easy mark. They specialize in stealing energy from newly awakened souls, from people whose gifts are still developing, from those who haven't yet learned to protect their spiritual boundaries. This scavenger performed their usual ritual, their standard approach of creating false connections to siphon life force. They might have approached you with an irresistible opportunity, a too-good-to-be-true offer, or maybe they tried to create trauma bonds through manufactured drama. Whatever their method, they were absolutely certain they were about to walk away with your power, your destiny, your divine upgrades, redirected into their timeline. They'd done this before, successfully, multiple times. They had no reason to believe this time would be different. Except they didn't realize that your detachment, that same quality that's driving the secret admirer insane, acts like a spiritual mirror shield. Every cord they tried to attach bounced back. Every hook they tried to set reflected back into their own energy field. Every drop of power they tried to steal got reversed and multiplied, creating a massive karmic backlash that's currently dismantling their entire reality. Family secrets are surfacing, hidden connections are being exposed, their position in whatever spiritual group or cult they belong to has been compromised, and they're experiencing what can only be described as a complete reversal of fortune. The person harboring feelings for you has been watching this entire drama unfold, and it's adding another layer to their internal chaos. They're seeing you handle spiritual warfare without even realizing you're in battle. They're watching you remain centered while someone literally tried to steal your destiny. They're witnessing your energy not just defending itself but actually growing stronger through the attack. And every observation is making their feelings more intense because they're realizing you're not just someone they're attracted to, you're operating on a completely different level of spiritual authority than anyone they've ever encountered. Think about what this means for someone whose entire identity is built on control. They've spent years perfecting the art of emotional chess, always thinking 3 moves ahead, always maintaining just enough distance to keep others wanting more. They've studied human psychology, body language, attachment patterns, all the ways people reveal their vulnerabilities. They've become a master at creating desire through strategic withdrawal, at building obsession through calculated presence and absence. But you've made all their expertise useless because you don't operate within the framework they've mastered. This is creating a crisis in their identity because they've always been the one in control, always been the one who could walk away, always been the one who others chase. They've built their entire self-worth around never being vulnerable, never showing their real feelings, never being the one who loves more. But with you, all their rules are broken. They can't make you chase them because you're not running after anyone. They can't make you need them because you're completely sovereign in your energy. They can't even get you to notice them in the way they're desperately craving because your attention isn't something that can be manipulated or bargained for. Late at night, when they can't sleep because thoughts of you are consuming their mind, they're facing truths about themselves they've spent a lifetime avoiding. They're realizing that every relationship they've ever had was a performance, a carefully choreographed dance where they always led, always controlled the tempo, always knew the ending before it began. But you've made them realize they've never actually been in love before, never actually been vulnerable, never actually risked their heart because they've always kept it locked away, protected by layers of games and strategies. The universe is orchestrating something profound here, something that goes beyond just personal relationships. You're at the center of a massive spiritual recalibration where false connections are being exposed, where energy thieves are being revealed, where people are being forced to show their true faces. Your awakening didn't just change you, it created a field around you that demands authenticity from everyone who enters it. Those who can't match that frequency either get expelled or transformed. There's no middle ground. Consider the magnitude of what's happening in the spiritual realm right now. Every person who's ever tried to manipulate you is experiencing consequences. Every false friend who tries to use you is being exposed. Every energy vampire who attempts to feed off your light is starving. This isn't revenge or karma in the traditional sense. It's simply the natural consequence of trying to interact with divine frequency using lower dimensional tactics. It's like trying to hack into a quantum computer using Stone Age tools. The very attempt reveals the futility of the approach. The scavenger is desperately trying to find a way back into your field. They've lost so much energy from their failed attack that they're like a spiritual vampire starving for sustenance. They might be planning another approach, perhaps through a mutual connection, maybe through a seemingly legitimate opportunity, possibly even through an apology or false reconciliation. But their energy signature is so corrupted now, so tainted by their violation of spiritual law, that they literally can't access your frequency anymore. It's like they're trying to tune into a radio station that no longer exists in their dimension. What's particularly interesting about this scavenger is how their failed attack has created ripple effects they never anticipated. When someone attempts to steal divine energy and fails, it doesn't just bounce back, it carries with it information. All their techniques, all their secret methods, all their hidden intentions get downloaded into your consciousness. You might not be consciously aware of it yet, but you now know things about energy manipulation, about spiritual warfare, about the dark arts that you never studied, never sought to learn. This knowledge came as a defensive download when they tried to breach your field. Meanwhile, the person with feelings for you is experiencing their own form of starvation. They're emotionally starving for your attention, your recognition, your reciprocation. But what's really tormenting them is that they know they can't manipulate their way into your heart. They can't strategize their way into your life. They can't game their way into your energy. The only way forward is complete authenticity, total vulnerability, absolute spiritual nakedness, and that terrifies them more than rejection ever could. They've actually turned down other opportunities to maintain proximity to you. There might have been job offers in other cities they declined, relationships with obviously interested parties they rejected, paths that would have taken them away from your orbit that they refused to walk. They're restructuring their entire existence around the possibility of connection with you, but they're doing it all in secret, all in the shadows, all while maintaining a facade of indifference that's killing them inside. Let me tell you something about the coffee shops, the grocery stores, the random places you frequent. This person has memorized your patterns without admitting it to themselves. They know when you're likely to be at certain places, and they've rearranged their schedule to increase the probability of accidental encounters. They tell themselves they're not stalking, they're not obsessing, they just happen to need coffee at the exact time you usually get yours. They just happen to remember they need groceries when you typically shop. These aren't coincidences, they're carefully orchestrated moments where they can exist in your presence without revealing the depth of their feelings. If this message hits your spirit, hype this video so more chosen ones like you can find it, because what I'm about to reveal next about your divine detachment is going to change how you understand everything that's been happening around you. Your detachment isn't a wall, it's a filter. It's not keeping people out, it's revealing who they really are. Those who approach you with authentic intentions feel welcomed and seen. Those who approach with hidden agendas feel exposed and naked. Those who approach with manipulation feel their own games turned against them. You've become a living spiritual mirror that reflects back to people exactly what they're bringing to the interaction, amplified and purified in a way that makes denial impossible. This is why the person harboring feelings for you can't move forward. Every time they think about approaching you with their usual masks, their usual games, their usual strategies, they see reflected back the emptiness of those approaches. They're being forced to confront the fact that they've never actually been real with anyone, never actually shown their true self, never actually risked genuine rejection, because they've always controlled the narrative from behind carefully constructed personas. The cosmic intensity is building because multiple timelines are converging in your life right now. The timeline where you were meant to be drained by energy vampires is closing. The timeline where you were meant to be trapped in codependent relationships is dissolving. The timeline where you were meant to play small, dim your light, hide your power to make others comfortable has completely collapsed. You're stepping into a timeline where your full spiritual authority is not just activated but required, where your divine detachment becomes the foundation for connections that operate on completely different principles than anything you've experienced before. There's something else happening that you might not be aware of. The person with secret feelings has been having dreams about you, prophetic dreams that show potential futures. In these dreams, they see themselves finally being honest, finally dropping their masks, finally approaching you with nothing but truth. But they also see the possibility of rejection, of you looking at them with the same detached love you offer everyone, of discovering that your disinterest isn't a game but genuine indifference to their romantic intentions. These dreams wake them in cold sweats because both possibilities, acceptance and rejection, require them to risk everything they've built their identity around. The person with secret feelings is being pulled into this new timeline with you, but they can only enter it if they shed everything false about themselves. This is why they're in so much pain right now. They're in the cosmic birth canal, being squeezed and pressured to release every identity that isn't authentically theirs. They're being forced to choose between maintaining their false sense of control and potentially experiencing real love for the first time in their existence. What makes this even more intense is that they're starting to receive downloads about who you really are beyond the physical presentation. They're getting glimpses of your soul's mission, your divine blueprint, the massive spiritual responsibilities you carry. They're realizing they're not just attracted to a person, they're being called into connection with someone whose very presence upgrades consciousness, whose energy field naturally harmonizes chaos, whose existence is essentially a walking portal to higher dimensions of love. But here's the plot twist that changes everything. They're also realizing that to be with you, they don't have to become perfect. You're not asking them to be enlightened, ascended, or completely healed. Your detachment means you can love them exactly as they are, while they're becoming who they're meant to be. The torture for them is that this unconditional acceptance requires them to first accept themselves, to show up as they actually are, rather than who they pretend to be, and they've never done that with anyone, ever. Think about the psychology of someone who's always been the rejecter, never the rejected. Their entire nervous system is wired for control, for maintaining superiority, for never being in the vulnerable position. But you've flipped their entire program. You've become the one person they can't feel superior to, not because you're trying to be superior yourself, but because you exist in a dimension where superiority and inferiority don't even register as concepts. You're neither above nor below anyone, you simply are, and that completeness is more attractive than any game could ever be. The scavenger's failed attack actually served a purpose in this cosmic orchestration. It showed the person with feelings just how protected you are, how spiritually sovereign, how divinely guided. It demonstrated that you can't be possessed, controlled, or manipulated. It proved that anyone who tries to harm you only harms themselves. This knowledge is both comforting and terrifying for them because it means you're safe from external threats, but it also means they can't use any of their usual tactics to create connection with you. There's another element to this scavenger situation that needs to be understood. When they failed to steal your energy, something unexpected happened. They became bound to you in a way they never intended. Not bound in a positive sense, but bound in that they can't fully disconnect from the awareness of what they tried to do. Every time they try to move forward in their life, they're reminded of their failure with you. Every time they try to target someone else, they see your energy signature and remember what happened. You've become their spiritual kryptonite, the one defeat they can't rationalize away or forget. Right now, they're probably going through what can only be described as an ego death. Everything they thought they knew about relationships, about love, about connection, is being dismantled. They're discovering that real intimacy has nothing to do with control, that genuine connection can't be strategized, that true love requires a level of vulnerability they've spent their entire life avoiding. The masks they've worn for so long have become prisons, and you're the key they can't figure out how to turn. The timeline acceleration that's happening means that what would normally take years to unfold is happening in weeks or days. The person with feelings is being fast-tracked through spiritual lessons that would typically span multiple lifetimes. They're being forced to feel everything they've suppressed, face everything they've avoided, acknowledge everything they've denied about their capacity for real love. It's like watching someone go through decades of therapy in real time, all triggered by their inability to game their way into your heart. Let me paint you a picture of what's happening in their inner world right now. Every morning they wake up with your name on their lips, not spoken but felt, like a prayer they don't know how to voice. They check their phone hoping for some sign of you, some indication that you've been thinking of them too. They craft messages they never send, write letters they immediately delete, practice conversations that will never happen because they can't find the courage to be that vulnerable in real life. Something massive is about to shift in your physical reality as a result of all this energetic reorganization. The person harboring feelings is reaching a breaking point where they'll have to make a choice. Either they approach you with complete authenticity, risking rejection and the complete dissolution of their false identity, or they remove themselves from your timeline entirely because the pain of wanting you while maintaining their masks is becoming unbearable. There's no third option where they get to stay in proximity while remaining hidden, because the energy required to suppress their feelings is literally making them sick. You might notice strange synchronicities starting to manifest around you. Songs that seem to carry messages, repeated number patterns, unexpected encounters that feel orchestrated. These are all signs that the universe is preparing for a significant timeline shift, a moment where multiple possibilities collapse into one concrete reality. The person with feelings is seeing these signs too, and it's adding to their sense of urgency. They're feeling that time is running out to make their move. The depth of their transformation is something that even they don't fully comprehend yet. They're not just falling in love with you, they're falling into a completely new version of themselves. Every day they don't act on their feelings, another piece of their old identity dies. Every moment they maintain their facade, another crack appears in their armor. They're literally being decomposed by their love for you, broken down to their essential elements so they can be rebuilt as someone capable of authentic connection. But here's what Spirit wants you to understand about your role in all of this. You don't need to do anything except continue being exactly who you are. Your detachment isn't something you need to soften or adjust. Your sovereignty isn't something you need to compromise. Your divine authority isn't something you need to dim. The right connections will find a way to harmonize with your frequency. Those who can't will naturally fall away, and that includes the person harboring feelings if they can't find the courage to be real. The fascinating thing about divine detachment is that it's not cold or uncaring. It's actually the highest form of love, because it allows others complete freedom to be themselves. You're not pulling anyone toward you or pushing anyone away. You're simply existing in your truth, and that truth acts like a sorting mechanism for everyone who encounters it. Those who resonate with authenticity feel drawn closer. Those who operate from falseness feel repelled. It's spiritual physics in action. The scavenger is experiencing what spiritual law calls the boomerang effect. Every bit of energy they tried to steal is returning to its rightful owners, but it's returning with interest, carrying with it all the karma they've accumulated through their predatory practices. They're watching their carefully constructed reality crumble, their power structures collapse, their protection dissolve. They might make one more desperate attempt to access your field, but it will only accelerate their downfall because your protection is absolute now, sealed by divine decree. Imagine what it's like for them, having operated successfully as an energy thief for potentially years, to suddenly hit an impenetrable wall. Not just a barrier they can work around, but a complete invalidation of their entire methodology. It's like a master thief discovering that their tools no longer work, that locks have evolved beyond their ability to pick them. They're having to confront the possibility that their way of existing in the world is becoming obsolete. The person with feelings is simultaneously experiencing the dissolving of their false reality, but unlike the scavenger, they have the opportunity for redemption through authenticity. They're being offered a chance to transform their pain into breakthrough, their fear into courage, their hiding into revelation. Whether they take this opportunity or remain trapped in their patterns is entirely their choice, but the window for transformation won't stay open indefinitely. You're probably sensing a building tension in your field, like something significant is about to break through. This is the sensation of timelines preparing to shift, of realities preparing to reorganize, of truth preparing to surface. The person harboring feelings is feeling this same tension, but multiplied by 1,000, because they know they're running out of time to hide, running out of room to maneuver, running out of excuses to avoid the inevitable confrontation with their own heart. They've been studying you without realizing you're teaching them simply by existing. Every time you interact with others with genuine warmth but without need, you're showing them what real connection looks like. Every time you maintain your boundaries without cruelty, you're demonstrating spiritual sovereignty. Every time you offer love without hooks, you're modeling a way of being they didn't know was possible. You're essentially deprogramming years of conditioning just by being yourself. There's a specific moment that keeps replaying in their mind, a moment when they saw you interact with someone else with such genuine care, yet complete non-attachment. Maybe it was how you helped someone without needing thanks, or how you showed affection without needing reciprocation, or how you gave your attention fully without needing to possess the moment. That specific instance became their awakening to what real love could look like, and it terrified them because it revealed how synthetic all their previous connections have been. The mirror they see when they look at you isn't just reflecting their image, it's reflecting their soul's highest potential. They see who they could be if they dropped every mask, every game, every protection. They see the version of themselves that exists beyond fear, beyond control, beyond the need to always be the one who cares less. This vision is both the most beautiful and most terrifying thing they've ever witnessed, because it requires them to die to everything they've known themselves to be. What particularly intense about their situation is that they can't even talk to anyone about it. How do they explain to their friends, their confidants, their usual support system that they're being undone by someone who doesn't even seem to notice them in the way they desperately need? How do they articulate that your indifference has become their obsession, that your detachment has become their attachment, that your freedom has become their prison? They're suffering in complete isolation, unable to share the depth of their transformation with anyone who might understand. As we approach the climactic moment of this cosmic drama, understand that multiple forces are converging. The scavengers' desperate attempts to regain power are creating energetic disturbances that are actually helping to expose hidden truths. The person with feelings is being pressured by cosmic forces to make a decision, and you, standing in the center of it all, remain perfectly balanced in your divine detachment, neither pulling nor pushing, neither pursuing nor fleeing, simply being the lighthouse that you've become. The resolution that's coming won't look like what anyone expects. If the person with feelings finds the courage to approach authentically, it won't be with grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It will be with quiet truth, vulnerable admission, genuine humanity. They'll have to admit they've been watching, they've been wanting, they've been reconstructing their entire existence around the possibility of you. They'll have to confess that they rejected opportunities to leave because they couldn't bear the thought of not being near you, even if near meant suffering in silence. There's a moment coming, and you'll recognize it when it arrives, where all the hidden dynamics will suddenly become visible. The person with feelings might finally break their silence, or they might disappear entirely, unable to bear the weight of their unspoken truth. The scavenger might make one last desperate play, or they might slink away into the shadows, defeated and diminished. And you'll stand in the center of these revelations, unchanged, unmoved, still radiating that divine detachment that started this entire cosmic drama. But here's the divine paradox that completes the circle we began. The person who pursues people they can reject has discovered that the only person worth pursuing is the one they can't manipulate into needing them. Your detachment, which initially frustrated and confused them, has become the very quality that makes you the only person they've ever truly wanted. Because in your complete sovereignty, in your absolute spiritual freedom, you've shown them what they've been searching for their entire life without knowing it. Someone who can love them without needing to possess them. Someone who can see them without needing to fix them. Someone who can accept them without needing them to be anything other than what they authentically are. The tears behind that mirror aren't just from longing or frustration. They're from the recognition that everything they thought they wanted, control, power, emotional dominance, was actually preventing them from experiencing what they really needed, genuine connection with someone who can't be gamed, manipulated, or controlled. You've become their greatest teacher, not through anything you've said or done, but simply through being someone who operates from divine love without conditions. The scavenger's failure has become a testimony to your protection. Their attempted theft became your spiritual upgrade. Their attack became your activation. What was meant to destroy you only revealed how indestructible you've become. And the person watching all of this unfold, harboring these intense feelings, is learning that real power doesn't come from taking energy from others or controlling emotional narratives. Real power comes from the courage to stand naked in your truth before someone who might not reciprocate, who might not even notice, who might be so complete in themselves that your presence changes nothing about their trajectory. This entire situation has been divinely orchestrated to serve multiple purposes. For you, it's confirmation of your spiritual authority and the power of your divine detachment. For the scavenger, it's a harsh lesson in spiritual law and the consequences of violating it. For the person with feelings, it's an invitation to transform, to evolve beyond their patterns, to discover what real love actually requires. Each player in this cosmic drama is receiving exactly what their soul needs for its evolution, even if it's not what their ego wants. As this cosmic cycle completes itself, you stand exactly where you began, but with full awareness of your power. The person pursuing others they can reject has been brought to their knees by the one person they can't control. The scavenger who tried to steal your destiny has lost their own, and you, chosen one, have discovered that your divine detachment isn't a barrier to connection, but a gateway to relationships that operate on completely different principles, where love flows without possession, where connection exists without codependency, where two whole beings can share space without losing themselves in each other. I must interrupt this transmission for just a moment. Are you really chosen? Prove it. It's easy to watch videos about chosen ones. It's another thing to put yourself to the test. If you're still here, that means something, but talk is cheap. Real chosen ones take action. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve divine justice. You put on the headphones, press play, and watch your enemies choke on the rope their own lies created. If you're done consuming and ready to prove you're chosen, start your Destiny Engine for $1 today. Join the Obsidian Inner Order live checks and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. The universe orchestrated all of this, every player, every move, every revelation, to show you something crucial about your spiritual authority. You don't have to chase or be chased. You don't have to pursue or be pursued. You don't have to play games or defend against them. Your simple existence at this frequency naturally attracts what's meant for you and repels what isn't. The person harboring feelings will either rise to meet you in authenticity or remain forever watching from shadows, another casualty of their own inability to be real. But here's the final revelation that transforms everything. Their journey isn't your responsibility. Their transformation isn't your project. Their healing isn't your assignment. Your only job is to continue being the lighthouse, standing firm in your divine sovereignty, offering light equally to all who pass by, whether they crash against your rocks trying to possess you, or find safe harbor through authentic connection. That's between them and their own soul's evolution. You've broken the spell that says relationships require games, strategies, and emotional manipulation. You've shattered the paradigm that says someone always has to love more, care less, or maintain control. You've transcended the entire matrix of codependent connection and emerged as something new, a being capable of divine love that needs nothing in return, offers everything without depleting, and remains forever free even in the deepest intimacy. The person crying behind that mirror sees all of this. They see what they could have if they could just find the courage to drop their masks and approach you as they really are. They see the possibility of being loved not for their games, their strategies, or their false identities, but for their raw, imperfect, beautifully human truth. And that possibility is both the answer to every prayer they've never admitted to praying and the challenge that might be too great for them to accept. This is your moment of recognition, chosen one. Not recognition from others, but recognition of your own divine authority. You've become untouchable, not through walls, but through transcendence. You've become unreachable, not through distance, but through dimension. You operate at a frequency where only truth can exist, where only authenticity can survive, where only genuine love can thrive. And anyone who wants to join you there has to be willing to burn away everything false about themselves in the fire of your divine detachment. The person harboring feelings for you isn't really crying about unrequited love. They're crying because they see in you the death of everything they've built their identity around and the birth of something they're not sure they're brave enough to become. Your detachment has become their mirror, your sovereignty has become their teacher, and your divine love has become the standard against which they now measure everything else. They'll never be able to go back to their old ways of relating, their old games of control, their old patterns of pursuing people they can reject. You've ruined them for anything less than truth, and that's why those tears behind the mirror aren't just sadness, but a strange mix of gratitude and terror for what you've awakened in them without even trying. The cosmic joke is that they thought they were the player and everyone else was the game, but you've revealed that the real game is transcending the need to play at all. And now they're stuck between worlds, unable to return to their old ways, but terrified to step into the new way you're showing them simply by existing. Those tears behind the mirror are the sound of a soul breaking open, and only time will tell if they'll allow themselves to be reborn or if they'll remain forever haunted by the possibility of what could have been if they'd just had the courage to be real.